Hello, my name is Lauren.
And I'm Kai, and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where we have like 30 Oscar statues in our garage, but we couldn't find any of them, so today our set consists of Albert Einstein, a Mickey Mouse Pez dispenser, Clyde from Pac-Man, and a mini golden spoon.
So today we wanted to take a time to think about what's obviously on everybody's mind, and that is the Oscar ceremony from 2 months ago.
Good for you, Parasite.
Yeah!
And everyone else that worked on it. So the past few years, the Oscars have been a bit of a mess. 2 years ago, you had the big thing with the final announcement.
2 years ago or 3 years ago now?
Oh, no. Oh, well, yeah, 3 years ago. I wasn't counting this year.
Oh, okay.
3 years ago, you had the one where it was Moonlight, but they said La La Land.
Where I was winning Oscar predictions, and then I lost spectacularly. And then last year, they just, did away with the whole having a host thing.
Yeah, and then they continued that this year, which I still don't think it's that great of a decision.
It's fine, it moves the ceremony faster, but, you know.
Yeah, it lets a lot of different people who wouldn't be the host have an opportunity to introduce the people who introduce the answer.
So the Oscars are a mess.
But this year was kind of like it saved Hollywood in a way. Like the past 2 years, not only have the Oscars been a mess, but the movies that came out of them haven't really been the best.
I'd say that's accurate, yeah.
What won Shape of Water?
Yeah.
Was not that great of a movie?
That was 2 years ago?
What won last year?
What won last year?
Memorable, huh?
Oh yeah, super memorable.
Anyway, we're not really here to talk about what actually happens in the Oscars. We're here to give our own Oscars.
About 2 months ago, we released a video that you probably didn't watch, but you should have, where we went through our nominations for a theoretical Oscar ceremony where we picked the movies that we thought were doing something a little bit different in Hollywood that don't get the recognition that they deserve.
So, our categories aren't something like Best Picture, Best Actress, the lame ones, but instead our categories are cool, like Best Advertising Campaign or Best Wilhelm Scream.
Alright, so let's jump into the categories and reveal our winners of the first annual Theoretical Oscars. So the first category in the Theoretical Oscars 2020 was Best Stunt Work, with the nominees Alita Battle Angel, Captain Marvel, John Wick Chapter 3, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
So this category is a little bit strange for our Oscars because it seems like they should be in the normal Oscars.
Right? This is a group of people who have been working on movies since practically the dawn of cinema, and they don't really have Academy Award recognition at all.
Yeah. You've got, Best Visual Effects, where, visual effects have always really been a part of it, but now it really just goes to the people who have the best special effects.
Yeah.
And yet, you don't have Oscars going to stunt work, where you have people at the beginning, like Charlie Chaplin doing all his stuff, or people jumping from trains and off of horses onto other horses with buffalo running past their heads.
Stuntmen and women are pretty much the only people on a movie set risking their lives on a daily basis, and they don't even get an award for it.
Out of our nominees, which are Alita Battle Angel, Captain Marvel, John Wick, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
you voted for
John Wick! So this doesn't really come as much of a surprise if you've heard anything about John Wick. I think it's directed by someone in the stunt field. I'm not sure if he's a stunt coordinator or stunt man or just knows a lot about stunts.
Right. I honestly didn't do that much research into John Wick because I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was going to win.
Oh.
I did do some research into that. You know the person who plays the bride in Kill Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, she's the stunt coordinator for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and a lot of Tarantino stuff. I don't know that much about John Wick. I've seen none of those movies.
It's breathtaking.
Action, fighting, guns, pew pew pew. Keanu Reeves, fight. Death, and trauma. And the second category of the theoretical Oscars is Best Wilhelm Scream.
Yeah, so in case you don't know what the Wilhelm Scream and are somehow watching a YouTube video about movies, the Wilhelm Scream was essentially, I think it was a soundbite that they used in something on Snake River, right? That was the name of the movie?
Something like that.
You might be able to look it up.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
But essentially they needed a soundbite of someone screaming when they were shot in the leg with an arrow and fell off their horse. And they found this soundbite. And then it sort of became a Easter egg in, like, so many movies. Just anytime you hear it, you know it's the Wilhelm Scream, and you can recognize that. It's gotten to the point for me where it doesn't sound like a scream. It sounds like the Wilhelm Scream.
Did it ever sound like a real person's scream? So the origin of the Wilhelm Scream is that it was first ever used in a movie called Distant Drums, and then...
That's the one.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it someone rolling around...
in a swamp.
Yeah, an alligator bit them, and they needed the sound. And I think the person who recorded the sound was the same person that sings the one-eyed, one-horned, one-horned, flying purple people eater song.
What you were talking about, though, is that it was first sort of an Easter egg when it was used in the movie The Charge at Feather River.
Feather River.
Yeah, and that's the one where the guy gets shot off his
Yeah.
horse. That's
and
like
then,
a famous movie clip that people always play when they talk about the Wilhelm Scream. That's where it gets its name, too. That character was named Private Wilhelm.
So our nominations in the Best Wilhelm Scream category include Aladdin, Kim Possible, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ugly Dolls, and Toy Story 4.
And the winner is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The next category in our theoretical Oscars is the worst Bechdel fail. The Bechdel test is essentially a measure of stories, and Hollywood in particular's bias towards men and female characters. The criteria include having 2 named female characters, they have to have a conversation, and it has to be about neither a man nor a baby.
For instance, Star Wars, the only female characters that are named in Star Wars, I think, main-ish characters that are named in Star Wars are Princess Leia and Mon Mothma. And I don't think they have a conversation, and if it is, I doubt it's not about Luke.
And Mon Mothma isn't actually introduced until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So the first 2 Star Wars movies only include 1 female character in their entirety. So the Bechdel test originally wasn't even a test that was supposed to be taken seriously by people. It was the punchline to a joke in a comic artist strip. The author's name is Alison Bechdel, and if you want to poke into some of her work, it's really good. But in this particular comic strip, it was a woman talking about how she only goes to a movie if there's a female character who has a conversation with another female character. And so it kind of just blew this idea of exposing gender bias in media, in particular Hollywood movies. And it's still a problem today in so many popular films that it's almost like a unseen issue that's going on. When I was trying to do research to come up with our nominations, I was shocked by some of the movies that didn't pass the test.
So what popular movies, you might ask? Well, we have a list of nominations.
Alright, movies that did not pass the Bechdel test this year are Ford vs. Ferrari, Gemini Man, How to Train Your Dragon Hidden World, and Spider-Man Far From Home.
So our winner, oh, by the way, this category is the worst Bechdel test fail. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's the worst movie in the category, nor does it necessarily mean that it failed the best nor the worst. It's just what you think.
And apparently, your opinion is very split, because we have a 3-way tie between Ford vs. Ferrari, Gemini Man, and Spider-Man Far From Home. This is where we get to flex our executive decision-making skills and say that obviously the worst offender was Spider-Man. Here's why I think that Spider-Man is the worst offender.
Oh,
It's because it's a story that could have very easily passed.
because MJ could have just talked to
Betty?
Betty.
Yeah.
Betty Ross. No.
Something.
Betty Ross.
So Ford versus Ferrari takes place during like 1940s NASCAR races. And obviously there were women and female identifying people around during the time. But I don't feel like it was super necessary or integral to the plot of the movie. It's a fail, but not as bad. Gemini Man, the whole shtick of the movie is amazing.
Gemini Man.
Yeah, it's
about a guy clones with other guys.
Yeah. The word man is in the title. And then, I'm surprised that no one voted for How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah. That's also a movie that they could have had.
Well, there's not a shortage of female characters.
Does Astrid never talk to Valhalla? Is that her name? Volca?
No,
Volca.
Yeah, her name's Volca in the movies. In the books, her name is Valhalla Rama. Astrid talks to Volca, but they
about
exclusively talk about Hiccup. And what Astrid
Well, that's the connection they have.
What Astrid can do to be a better girlfriend is the entire conversation that they have.
Is she not his wife already?
No, they get married at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Then he grows a beard.
Anyway, that's why I think Spider-Man is the worst offender. Have any counter arguments?
No. I mean, kinda. I already gave them. Moving on.
Our next category is the best non-Disney property, because Disney owns everything now.
Yeah. Did you know that the stock market is so low right now that Apple could outright buy Disney if they wanted to?
I don't think they want to.
Yeah, no, because it would, like, ruin their company because they spent all the money. But it's
Right.
feasible. Apple could buy Disney and thus buy everything associated with Disney, I think. Unless that just goes to its individual distributors.
Did you know that if Apple buys Sony, then the copyright laws and ownership titles of Spider-Man automatically default to Disney? Because of, like, the original contract?
But basically, big corporations own everything we care about, thus own us, and we will eventually all serve one overlord, be it Apple, Disney, Jeff Bezos.
So these are the few stragglers that are not under Disney's grip. The Addams Family, How to Train Your Dragon, Shazam, Spider-Man, and Zombieland. And your winner is How to Train Your Dragon. Apparently, no one cares about the lack of women talking about it.
Yeah, doesn't pass the Bechdel test, but is the best non-Disney property.
Yep. To be fair, I did think it was a good final movie for the trilogy.
Yeah. My biggest gripe has to do with just the name.
Right.
I mean, they could have just gone with How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Yeah, why wasn't it called that? Weird time to break the pattern.
The other weird thing is just, like, the moral of that movie is, like, if you can't live with your best friend because society says no, split up into two segregated worlds forever.
That is the message of that movie.
Okay, so our next category is the best advertising campaign.
And there were a lot of good ones this year. I really liked watching movie trailers.
Yeah, movie trailers are, like, one of my favorite things about movies because they, like, get me hyped up for the movie.
They're like little short stories, too.
Yeah. Some people, like, want to go into a movie completely cold. Like, I want to know nothing about this movie.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think my favorite part of storytelling is the world building, and I think the movie trailer gives me an opportunity to either learn about the world before the movie happens, or be, like, prepared to watch the movie to see how it fits into the world, or just watch a good movie trailer because they're, like, edited nicely.
Oh, yeah. No, you can definitely tell when someone has a lot of experience editing good movie trailers.
Yeah.
There's a difference between one that's, like, super generic and one that's actually doing something creative with its own medium. Like, not the genre of the movie, but the genre of the trailer can be really intriguing. I also think movie trailers are weird because I love trailer analysis, But then I'm sitting in the theater and I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't seen the trailer at all, because then
Yeah.
all these shots wouldn't be so familiar that I was waiting for them.
And then sometimes movie trailers just like lie to you or something.
Right.
You've got like Jin Urso walking up and like going to go punch a TIE fighter or something, and then it's just not in the movie.
So, on the topic of movie trailers, your nominees for the best advertising campaign are Avengers Endgame, Frozen 2, The Lego Movie 2, the second part, Joker, and Rise of Skywalker. Do you have any favorites among the list?
Yeah, I do. I think something that we have to make absolutely clear is that this isn't just the movie trailers like we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's everything that goes into advertising the movie, because when you release a movie, you don't want the movie to be unheard of.
I think sort of posters are a huge thing right now, where you get these series, like a set of posters that people release.
Yeah, like the Toy Story 4 one, where it was just like a grayish background and just like Woody. Like, not even in the center spotlight, it's just like Woody kind of, like, that's just great. Like, they're just saying, like, yeah, we don't have to tell you that Toy Story 4 is coming out. You know Woody, and you know that Toy Story 4 is coming out from seeing this.
But it's just great advertising, because it makes you want to go see something because it hasn't been sort of shoved down your face.
Down your throat?
Yeah, down your throat. Shoved in your face and down your throat. Alright, so the winner of the Best Advertising Campaign Theoretical Oscar was Avengers Endgame. And I think that's a pretty good choice. I think they did a lot with their trailers and their posters too. They did those character posters, the ones that were like, they say Avenge the Fallen.
Yeah, Avenge the Fallen.
Yeah, and it was all the characters who had been dusted and all the characters who hadn't. And it was not only just showing off how many characters were going to be in the film, but then also a refresher, like, these are the characters who aren't going to be in the movie, just in case you forgot from Infinity War, or they didn't show the dusting in Infinity War.
Yeah, and I think in those posters, was it the dusted were black and white or something? So, the people for the trailers, I'm not exactly sure if this is correct, but it's what I heard, the people who made the trailers were only allowed to use 8 minutes of footage from Avengers Endgame.
Which was a very long movie. Like, let's be clear. It was over 3 hours long. So to be given 8 minutes of new footage and then basically tasked with marketing this enormous film project is kind of a huge order.
And not only did they only have 8 minutes, but most of it came from just the first 30 minutes of the movie. Meaning they were only allowed to use, like, half a second of, like, a shot of them, like, walking out in the final
they used,
battle.
like, the white suits, too, right?
Yeah.
That was, like, the big shot that is sort of milked for advertising.
Yeah, but that's in the first 30 minutes.
Right.
And you think, like, oh, is this the climax? They're going to the big battle? No!
And then the other thing that they did was, like, make everything black and white and highlight red.
But what they did when they made everything black and white was, so since they only had 8 minutes of footage to work with, you can't really make effective trailers using just that. Mm-hmm. So they had to incorporate footage from movies from the past. Captain America, and then he has his shield, and it's all black and white, but the red in the shield is colored.
Right, and he had, like, specifically red gloves, which were digitally changed to the color red.
Yeah, they're normally brown.
Yeah.
But it's, like, I guess representing, like, the blood he has on his hands, because he's, like, he feels responsible. I'm not sure if that's it. They might have just wanted red in that shot. It's
just really good visual storytelling the entire way, and obviously it was very effective, since Avengers Endgame is now the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So it clearly did a very good job at what it was trying to do. Although I would be remiss not to mention my favorite advertising campaign of this year, which was for the Lego Movie 2. Not anything to do with the trailers in the theaters, which were good, they were funny, they were fine. What I loved was the online YouTube advertisements for this film were so trolly. It was genius. One of them was just, they played the entire Lego movie, the first Lego movie, before YouTube videos.
Just the whole, like, 2 hour, just, hey, this is, like...
here it is! watch it, get excited for our second one.
Skip it if you want, but it's there.
Right. And then the other trailer that I loved from them was the catchy song
Yeah.
from the second movie. It's literally called Catchy Song. It's like, this song's gonna get stuck inside you, this song's gonna get stuck inside you, this song's gonna get stuck inside your head. They just played about that much of a soundbite over and over for over 2 hours. It was a skippable video, but I don't know. I probably got like half an hour into it before I finally like clicked through to whatever I was watching.
I was tempted to like leave it and like go read a book or something, and then just wait for it to like change. But no, I think I skipped it. But I mean, they could have done something at the end. I think at the end they just said like,
Oh, yeah.
well, you sat through this video, now you're ready to go watch the Lego Movie 2.
At the same time, that's such a troll move. And
Yeah.
that's what I appreciate it for, is that it made you watch 2 hours of footage that was designed to be the most annoying thing possible that they could possibly put out there, and there's no reward at the end. You just did it. I don't know, I thought it was genius, and it was great, and it was them specifically targeting a YouTube audience, which I think is something that hasn't really been fully explored by Hollywood. They're still super focused on getting trailers in theaters and on TV, but they haven't really played around with the medium of YouTube ads. You'll get like generic movie trailers as your ads, but they're the same ones that you see on TV. This is the first time I really saw something that was like, yeah, this is a YouTube ad, and this is how we're going to market our film.
Yeah, like, if they played that in the theaters, it's just playing the entire Lego Movie in the theater before your movie.
That'd be weird.
Like, they can't do that.
So our next category was the worst sequel, reboot, or remake that came out in 2019. There were some horrible movies.
Yeah, we talked about how this is like, it saved the Oscars or like saved Hollywood because the movies were much better than they were in years past.
That's obviously not true for a lot of stuff.
I mean, Hollywood doesn't know what it's doing with a lot of its stuff.
It has so many properties that it's trying to milk them all at once. And that's why we're getting just so many reboots like Terminator and Jurassic World is a big thing right now. In addition to like doing sequels to the Harry Potter, prequels to the Harry Potter movies, the Fantastic Beasts, and continuing big franchises like Men in Black, or what was Shaft got a sequel, or
why did that need a sequel?
It was just weird things that they're making, and I don't know why, other than a lack of creativity.
Again, we have a video similar to it where Lauren talks about all the Disney remakes and why Disney can't come up with any new ideas. Before we heard about Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, I'm excited for some new Disney ideas.
Yeah, before we heard about that, there was no released next movie after Frozen 2.
At least for animation.
Yeah, for animation.
Disney Animation Studios. I think that's the only movie that we know it's coming out is Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah.
But for a while, like maybe a year or a year and a half, it was Frozen 2. It was like going to be this big milestone. So I don't know what's next for Disney, but it's going to be a lot of live action remakes.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
I mean, they were going to release Gigantic and then canceled it.
Yeah, they canceled it.
The only reason I have to believe they canceled it was because it was new.
Yeah, obvious. Not that it was going to be totally original, because it's a...
it was Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, it's a reimagining of Jack and the Beanstalk. This is your list of remakes and reboots that came out this year. Dark Phoenix, Dumbo, Men in Black International, The Lion King, and What Men Want. Why was there a sequel or a reboot of What Men Want? I'm sorry, What Women Want. Oh, gotta be all Bechdel. Gotta be woke.
Well, wasn't that movie even about... It was about a misogynist.
Yeah.
Did he learn?
I don't know.
I've never seen the movie.
I don't know. I haven't seen it either. It stars Mel Gibson, so if that gives you any indication of what type of movie it is.
What else is on the list?
Dark Phoenix, which I'll talk a little bit more about Dark Phoenix later.
You've got Dumbo.
Oh my god, that is my least favorite live action Disney remake so far.
Yeah, it's Tim Burton, isn't it?
It's Tim Burton, and you'd think that Tim Burton would be able to do something cool with the visuals of Dumbo, which were already sort of like, not psychedelic, but obviously influenced by something. The other thing about Dumbo is I can see why you would want to remake it. There's so much wrong with the original film. It's very racist, there's some outdated opinions and songs, and just depictions of life and characters. And so it's something that makes sense to reboot for a new generation. And then it just failed so hard.
Yeah.
At everything it tried to do. It was so long. It didn't need to be a long movie. The original Dumbo was like a little over an hour. It didn't have the heart that was at the center. It added all these human characters. Danny DeVito was in it.
There was a villain?
Michael Keaton played a villain in the movie. The
like
little girl,
5 minutes
the little
of the
girl
first
was
one.
obsessed with being a scientist because once again Disney's so woke and had a little girl scientist. I don't know. It was just
like screaming at you, look at us.
And what else is on here? Oh, The Lion King!
Oh, yeah. So, okay. The Lion King proved a bit of a point, I think. A lot of people, actually, I've heard it on multiple accounts. One was our uncle.
Right.
But they only saw The Lion King for the first time in the 2019 version.
Which, like, baffles me. That you've avoided, like, the original 1994 Lion King your entire life, and then you go and see the 2019 one.
Yeah, like, why did you see the 2019 one if you haven't seen, what is it, 1995? Four. So, our uncle saw The Lion King, and I've also heard it multiple other times on the internet, where people see The Lion King, and then they're amazed. Because it's a good movie.
But the animated version, like, the real animated version was better.
Well...
It was.
But it's an opinion, so like...
It's my opinion, and it's the right opinion.
But, that is to say, that doesn't make it a good remake.
I don't think it is. I said this about Beauty and the Beast, too, when it came out. All the parts that I enjoyed about the new version were the ones that didn't change.
Yeah, but in that case, you could just go watch the original, and then you remove the parts that they did change.
Yeah.
And then you just have a better movie.
Yeah.
But overall, I think the live-action remakes are a cash grab. They're just trying to reap money off of your nostalgia.
Yep.
But, I mean, I'm fine with it as long as they don't take it too far.
Or they don't interfere with the other stuff that Disney is doing with new creative ideas.
And that would, be like taking it too far, like not releasing another movie that's not original.
Gigantic.
And so your selection for the winner of the worst sequel/remake of 2019 was...
Men in Black International.
Okay. We didn't talk about this one.
No, we didn't. Did you see this one?
I have only seen bits of it.
Me
in
too.
passing.
I didn't see the whole movie.
Yeah, but from what I saw, I mean, it's weird, but you've got the Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson duo, which like proved itself in Ragnarok.
Right.
And I kind of like that idea of like not just taking a actor because they were good in something and then put them in something similar. But yeah, taking a pair of people.
Well, and it's also interesting because you'd find that in like rom-coms, you'd find the same two people starring.
Oh yeah, you've got like Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore in every like Adam Sandler rom-com.
Just take an action movie with like no romance. That's an interesting idea. And I do think that they play off each other really well. I don't think the writing was there to match it. It was also interesting to like not have Will Smith associated with this reboot at all.
Yeah, like...
especially since Will Smith was in both Aladdin and Gemini Man this year, so it's not like he wasn't around doing stuff.
Well, but it might mean that he was around doing too much stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they could have had, like, a cameo or something.
I think it's sort of like a Mary Poppins Returns thing, where
was that on our list?
No, because it was last year.
Oh.
But Mary Poppins Returns had this perfect place for a Julie Andrews cameo, and then they went with someone else. I don't remember off the top of my head.
But do you know what movie she did do that year?
Julie Andrews turned down a cameo in Mary Poppins to be in Aquaman, where she played the giant squid. Well, you guys voted for Men in Black. We trust your opinion.
We haven't seen it, but I mean, I agree.
Alright, so the next category is the worst character of 2019. Our nominations are Professor Hulk from Avengers Endgame, Jean Grey from Dark Phoenix, Penny Rust from The Hustle, and Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story 4.
Yeah, so this category is a little harsh, I think.
Yeah.
I think this category, I think movies did well for this category this year. There's clearly a lot of bad characters that you just want to leave. Like if Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, that like, wins, like, worst character for the last 30 years. So in our nominations, we have, like, Professor Hulk. Like, he's not the worst.
Well, I don't think he's the best version of Hulk that we've seen.
Yeah.
I personally got annoyed with Professor Hulk because of how much Mark Ruffalo was in there. When it felt no longer like Bruce Banner and more like Mark Ruffalo. They made some choices with Hulk in Endgame. For instance, when he dabs, that seemed a little weird. And like, do we need to be watching this in order to relate to this character or sympathize or understand why he prefers to be in this mental state?
Yeah, and well, then the other weird, I think where they took the character didn't make that much sense. I know Professor Hulk is from the comics, and that's where they got the idea clearly, and it's what they're adapting. But I don't think Professor Hulk in Endgame is the perfect embodiment of how to treat the Hulk.
Okay.
Because you said there was way too much Mark Ruffalo and not enough Bruce Banner, but there's not enough Hulk.
Yeah, that's true.
Bruce Banner and Hulk are like different characters. And then they just, we worked it out. Okay. I use his body. I'm smart and I get to use his body to punch people.
Yeah.
Like, does that...
It's like they did all this build-up towards Hulk being a nuanced character.
Yeah.
Not like Banner and Hulk being nuanced character, but actually Hulk having sort of depth to him. And then they're like, no, we just need this for a joke.
I think what would be the perfect way to handle the Hulk is to have him be the Hulk, but he could be, like, he's not the size of the Hulk, he's like half the size, but he's not the size of Bruce Banner. Like, have him be somewhere in the middle, and then have his personality switch between the Hulk and Bruce Banner.
But in a balanced way.
Yeah, like, occasionally you'll be talking to the Hulk, and occasionally you'll be talking to Bruce Banner. And then maybe in certain moments, you need the Hulk to take full control, and then he turns into the super big one. Or you need Bruce Banner to think real hard.
Yeah.
And then he shrinks down to the small one.
Also on this list is Buzz Lightyear, who... So Toy Story 4, I've heard, should have been called Woody. And I agree with that. It should have just been a very Woody-centric movie, because as for the rest of the ensemble, they're sort of just stuck in the RV the entire time. But they had the character of Buzz Lightyear to work with, and I don't think that the Pixar team knew what to do with him at all.
Where in the past, he has been a little bit of an idiot in that, like, he doesn't know he's not an actual space ranger. But it's not like he's that dumb, where he's like, what's an inner voice?
Well, I don't think he's ever been dumb before. I think he's been naive or gullible, but then also very stubborn. And it's sort of obstinate of a character. He's often, at times, aligned against the rest of the cast, but he's never been dumb.
But in this movie, they do, like, a complete switch where, like, his whole character is... press a button, do what it says. Press a button, do what it says.
Which is a funny gag for maybe a scene. But the fact that it doesn't go anywhere more than this is how he's going to stay relevant to the rest of the story, I don't know. It didn't jive with me very well.
One thing I think they could have done to save it a little bit, to, like, make it not just a gag, is if in the end, when... everyone's, like, giving up on Woody because he's trying to do something that's not good for the rest of them. And he's pressing the button and it keeps saying, like, go away, like, the mission's over. If he went back. Like, if he learned that you could disagree with the voice inside of you.
Kept giving him advice that he fundamentally disagreed with.
Yeah, and he would, like, learn that this isn't what he should actually be doing.
I like that.
That would... make him a better character, and it would fix the problem of him being a mindless drone.
We're just coming up with great endings.
Yeah, I mean...
for these movies. Come
Disney,
on.
hire us. Pixar.
Come on. And then also on this list was Penny Rust, who you didn't see The Hustle with
Did
Anne
you?
I did see it.
When?
It was just on TV at home when we were watching it. That was a movie with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson is one of my least favorite actresses because I think she gets way too much leeway in her roles where people will be like, okay, play yourself, and then not give her direction. Because I think a little bit of her is very good. I like her in Pitch Perfect, but not when she's like the sole focus of a scene. Because I think she just goes on too far. Really the only movie that I've genuinely enjoyed her performance all the way through was Jojo Rabbit. Directed by Taika Waititi. Because I thought her character was really funny, and it was a very small role, but it was hilarious. Well, it's weird. It's like being Rebel Wilson is the butt of the joke sometimes, and it's really weird. I don't know. I can't imagine that she's totally happy with how this character acted in the film. Like, a huge plot point is she pretends to be blind to scam this guy out of all of his money, and then things go horribly wrong, and she develops feelings for him, and it's a whole thing. Alright, so the winner, or loser, of the worst character of 2019 is Jean Grey from Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I forgot that was on the list.
Oh, yeah.
That deserves it so much.
She is so boring. She is the worst character because we have no idea who she is. And is it Scott? Who plays Cyclops? His name is Scott?
Yeah, Cyclops. Yeah.
He keeps going on and on about, that's not Jean. Like, you don't understand. I know Jean. And I'm screaming at, like, the theater. Well, I'm not screaming because I'm in the theater.
I'm in the theater screaming
I'm
at the screen.
Internally yelling. And I'm like, no, we have no idea who this Jean Grey is because we haven't met her outside of, oh my gosh, Phoenix Force.
Well, yeah, we've met her in, was she in First Class?
She was in Apocalypse.
She was just in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And that was 10 years before this movie.
Right.
So her and Scott have developed relationship over 10 years.
Yes. And they're also like the same age somehow.
Well,
it's really confusing. It retcons a ton of stuff. But yeah, my biggest gripe is that we're supposed to have this deep connection to a character. It's like, oh my gosh, it's Jean Grey. Yeah. Everyone knows her story, but we don't know this character at all. And I don't think it's Sophie Turner's fault. She's a great actress, but this was, I don't know. Also, Jessica Chastain was in the movie, and her part was so bad because of all the rewrites that went into it. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to follow it up with, was if Jean Grey isn't the worst character, I think, what was her name?
I don't even know. I don't remember. Lead alien?
Yeah, I forget her name. She does have one in the movie, though.
Uh-huh.
But I think if Jean Grey isn't the worst character, she is. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely not Jessica Chastain's fault.
No,
it's actually Marvel's fault, right?
Yeah, because of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's Captain Marvel's fault.
Which, this is not an attack on Brie Larson.
Yeah, no. In the original script for Dark Phoenix, I'm pretty sure she was a Skrull.
Yeah.
Right? Because, so in the final version, they're the Dabari, who are a shape-shifting race of aliens coming to Earth to take over the world because they're refugees. Yeah. But I think in the comics, like, the Dabari show up in one panel, and it's, like, the Phoenix Force explodes, and they're like, oh no, our planet just got destroyed.
There's a weird clip of Jessica Chastain talking. I don't remember exactly what she says, but she's like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, she said, like, it's weird coming to work every day and not knowing who your character is.
Yeah. Which is just bad direction,
because the character kept changing. Not to say that we're, again, amazing writers and have great ideas, but again, I think something that would have made Dark Phoenix so much better is if there were no aliens.
Right. Yeah.
And Jessica Chastain played the Phoenix Force.
I think so, too. That's who I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like, watching the trailers.
Because, so there's, like, in the trailers and in the movie, there's the, where Sophie Turner, or Jean Grey, is in, like, an alley after she killed,
Raven.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Kills Raven.
Yeah, after
it
she...
was in the trailers, but...
Well, yeah, it was in the trailer. But after she, like, accidentally kills Raven, it's, like, raining and she's crying and she's saying, like, why did you make me do that and stuff. Like, she didn't have control. It would be so great if Jessica Chastain was the Phoenix Force, like, egging her on or making her do things she doesn't want to. And no one else can see that but her. I think a rewrite of this category instead of worst character would be like
wasted potential.
Most wasted potential in the character. Someone like Jessica Chastain would be the worst wasted potential. You've got a great actress in a movie that's supposed to follow one of the best X-Men storylines.
Or comic book storylines.
Yeah. And then you waste them with an alien invasion.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, she didn't even... That wasn't the winner. It was just Jean Grey and...
Who is so forgettable. We spent half this time talking about Jessica Chastain's character, who we don't even remember the name of. Alright, so the next category in the theoretical Oscars is the Best Deus Ex Machina.
So, you know more about this. You can...
Yeah, okay, so this is a term that comes from ancient Greek stage plays, where they would have this big thing going on the stage where everything's going wrong and it's like, oh my gosh, how will we save the day? And then they would lower the character of God or a god and they would fix all the problems and they would be lowered by wires and ropes and stuff, and so it would be God from Machine coming in to save the day. And so this term gets borrowed and used towards movies where everything's going wrong and then suddenly something happens and it's a happy ending. Your nominations are Avengers Endgame, It Chapter 2, and Rise of Skywalker. So some of the most blockbustery movies that came out this year. Do you want to start with Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, so I don't think it's much of an ex machina in this movie.
I think it is. The specific moment that we're talking about is the on your left line. Again, spoilers from Falcon.
Spoilers, they win. Spoilers, everyone's not dead.
Falcon comes in, and then all the portals open up, and every single Marvel character that's ever been introduced so far steps out, and they fight this big battle.
Even Howard the Duck.
Anyway, so they all come in, and basically it saves the day. Steve Rogers is about to face down Thanos by himself, and almost
the entire army versus Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So to them, Thanos snapped, they all dust away, and then they come back. You don't think they're gonna take 10 minutes to be like, whoa, where's Tony? Doctor Strange, can you get us back? Oh, yeah, sure, I'll go teleport to Wong, get him to make all these or get him to get the rest of the sorcerers to make all the portals so we can get everyone to this big battle. You would rather do that instantly than 10 minutes.
Of course.
And then, I mean, maybe it's a Deus Ex Machina because it's just, oh, we're losing the battle, and then we're not losing the battle because everyone came in. But it's not like the hand of God reaching in and just, like, killing the other, like Thanos or something. Because it's something that they set into motion.
Yeah.
They snapped everyone back.
Okay.
And
I can
now
see your point.
Yeah,
I understand. Let's move on to the next one, which was It Chapter 2.
So, again, there's no, like, hand of God that reaches in and just flicks Pennywise, off the face of the earth. But instead, you have just one line, "You're the clown."
Because all it took to defeat Pennywise was bullying.
They just yell, "You're the clown." They don't even say, like...
We're not afraid.
Like, we're not afraid of you, and then there's something... I haven't actually seen it.
I've seen most of the scene, I think. I haven't seen the whole film because I don't do horror films.
Yeah, no. We hate horror films. You're the clown.
You're the clown.
You're the clown.
Well, and then also, the fact that the ritual of Chud, which is, like, the whole movie is, like, getting the object for the ritual of Chud, doesn't work, and then they come up with a new solution in the last, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, like, this big
it's like the whole movie.
This works?
Isn't it like a 3-hour-long movie or something?
Yeah, I think so.
This year had a lot of long movies.
I'm usually all for long movies.
Yeah, no, I love long movies, but when it doesn't need to be that long, it's weird. Like, I think Rise of Skywalker was a great long movie.
Speaking of Rise of Skywalker.
Perfect segue.
What do you think the Ex Machina is in this movie? Because I think there are maybe 3 options.
When all hope is lost, they called out for everyone to... Oh, maybe even before that.
Oh, you're thinking of a fourth one. The three I was talking about was the big I am all the Jedi moment.
Yeah, or I am... Iron Man? No, the Jedi.
Yeah, that moment. The one where... it's not an Ex Machina because it is, I guess, set up earlier, but when she passes the lightsaber behind her back...
Okay, well, I don't think
Ben
that's an Ex Machina.
Okay.
I think that's a cool use of abilities.
Okay. And then...
Well, I mean, maybe you could say the Force Dyad is maybe an Ex Machina that
was the
exists.
third one. The fact that they're a Force Dyad, and that has never been a term that was floated around, even in reference to these characters before.
So, okay, it was Kylo Ren at the time, not Ben yet, but when he was telling Rey that she was the granddaughter of Palpatine and that they're a Force Dyad, or a Dyad in the Force, I thought he was saying it as something, like, metaphorical, or he was, like...
Not literally,
like...
a thing.
Yeah, it's not, like, when I did it, I didn't go, oh, what's a Force Dyad? I'll research that later. I went, okay, he's saying that they represent something. And that means that they're connected.
So the winner of the Best Ex Machina category was It Chapter 2. And I can see why you guys voted for that.
Yeah, I agree very much with that, because that's the only one I really see as that much of an Ex Machina.
It's the only one I kind of see as problematic.
Yeah,
bit.
Because...
The other ones are convenient, but they're not necessarily annoying. Our final category of the theoretical Oscars is... the worst Oscar snub.
So Oscar snubs are any movie, actor, director that wasn't nominated for the actual Oscar award in the Oscars. It's not necessarily, oh, this movie didn't win, we believe it did. It's, this movie wasn't even nominated.
It just should have been recognized, at least. This year, your nominations were Frozen 2 for Animated Picture, Lupita Nyong'o for leading actress in the movie Us, Adam Sandler for leading actor in Uncut Gems, Greta Gerwig for writing and directing Little Women, and Taika Waititi for directing Jojo Rabbit.
Okay, so Frozen 2 was not nominated for Best Animated Feature Film.
And it was better than Toy Story 4, which won.
Yeah.
And I think...
And no one expected it not to win. The other options were like, what?
How to Train Your Dragon.
A Missing Link had maybe a bit of a chance because
it won the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it won the Golden Globes, and I didn't see it, but it was a fine movie, I hear. Frozen 2 wasn't nominated, which is insane.
Considering how well Frozen did in 2013.
But there is a bit of...
politics?
Yeah, well, not politics, like movie politics, or business...
Yeah.
You have to look at it from the business side of things. Disney hasn't said it, but basically we believe, and a lot of people on the internet believe, that Frozen 2 wasn't nominated because Disney wanted to push Toy Story 4. They wanted to make sure Toy Story 4 won because they thought that Toy Story 4, I guess, was a better movie, or they thought it was more of an accomplishment to get Toy Story 4 to win.
Yeah, definitely. Just for whatever reason, they wanted to give Pixar sort of the lead.
Essentially, what Disney would be doing here is they would say, okay, we want to win. So, in order to win, we need to put forward one
strong candidate.
Yeah.
And they chose to put their money on Toy Story 4 rather than Frozen 2, which I think is a mistake, but it was obviously the right decision.
Yeah.
A right decision.
Like
Toy Story 1. So moving down the list, Lupita Nyong'o for the movie Us. Again, we're not big horror movie fans. I don't know. Even the clips I've seen from this movie, her character freaks me out. Not the...
just looking at her? And you know the twist from the end,
I know the twist.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like horror movies doesn't mean I don't keep up to date on them.
Yeah.
Just having to portray those two characters and doing a great job at both of them and just being, like, really creepy.
Yeah.
She did her job so well.
And it is a disappointment that she wasn't even nominated in this category for Best Leading Actress, right?
Yes.
Next on the list?
Next on the list was for Leading Actor, Adam Sandler.
Okay. So, again, I haven't seen Uncut Gems.
I haven't
but I
seen
heard
it
it was a really good movie.
Yeah. So, what's your opinion of Adam Sandler? Because I know people who just can't stand his comedy. I don't mind his comedy a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
But this is obviously not a comedic movie. It's
Yeah,
very serious.
Yeah, it's nothing, like, when you picture, like, Uncut Gems, that's an Adam Sandler movie, you wouldn't picture the movie that it is.
No.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of critical recognition for
Yeah.
his role in this movie.
I think that happens a lot when, like, a comedic actor takes a serious role and then they take it places that you've never seen them go, and then you're like, wow, they're amazing.
Yeah, and it just sucks he didn't get the recognition for his role. Next on the list was Greta Gerwig for Little Women. I loved this movie. What did you think of it?
I didn't really like it. I thought it was weird in its, like, I was lost. I didn't understand the time jumps. I didn't know that they were there. And it didn't help that every actor was played by the same actor, no matter how old they were or where in the timeline they were.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You've got Florence Pugh playing, like, a 20-year-old sometimes, but playing, like...
A 12-year-old.
Yeah, like, crying about her hand getting hurt.
Okay.
Okay.
So, going back to what we were saying about directing earlier, being bad, necessarily, I think this is a great example of great actors and a great director. And so I just think that the writing and the directing was so clever and tight and good that it pulled everything together for me.
But, next on the list...
It's also, speaking of directing, Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit was, I think, my favorite film that came out this year. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And also made me cry.
So it's actually, for me, I think it's either Jojo Rabbit or Knives Out.
Okay.
I think were my favorite films this year. I thought both of those were really good. But Knives Out isn't in this category. So, Jojo Rabbit. Taika Waititi is just, like, a really good director.
It's such a ballsy next movie to do after a Marvel, like, Thor movie. It's like, I'm gonna make a movie about Nazis from the Nazis' point of view.
Yeah.
And not only the Nazis' point of view, but a little boy who's being indoctrinated. I thought all the performances were good, and I think that, including he played Hitler.
Yeah, he played Hitler.
But the writing was just so clever, and he got nominated for that, but his directing was also just stellar the whole way through. It was such a stylistic movie.
Like, you said it's a funny movie that made you cry, and I think that's what he does really well, is... He does funny movies,
so dark.
but you can't watch it and just laugh the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like, there's points where it's like, oh, okay, this is serious, and he knows how to make it serious.
The winner of this category of the worst Oscar snub of 2019 is a tie between Lupita Nyong'o and Taika Waititi. If it were me, I would give it to Taika Waititi.
Me too. And this was clearly okay, so Lupita Nyong'o, while she'd had a great performance, I think this wasn't, like, her movie, whereas...
Right, that was very much a Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah, but this is Taika Waititi's movie.
Yeah,
it's
for acting, writing, and directing.
Yeah, so that's why, if it were up to me, I would give it to him.
Alright, so that's about all we have for this video, which was the ceremony for the first annual Theoretical Oscars.
So if you liked this video, you can like it down below while you're down there. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want more, You can also subscribe to this channel if you want more content similar to this. We have a lot of other videos talking about movies, stuff like Harry Potter, and Marvel, and Star Wars. So if you like that kind of stuff, you can subscribe to the channel. And then also while you're down there, there is a comment section which you can comment in.
Tell us if you think we're wrong. I mean, you could have voted yourself, but just tell us what you think about this video. If you like this format, if you want to see this similar ceremony next year, we can do these as long as the Oscars keep happening. Yeah, you can also follow us on Twitter at Theory_Central.
Both the comment section and Twitter are so small that we guarantee if you send us something there, we will see it.
And we might shout you out in a future video. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know.
Alright, but that's about all we have for you today. So thanks for watching.
And we'll see you later. You know, if you had NordVPN... We're not sponsored by NordVPN.
We're not sponsored by anybody.
We're not big enough to have a sponsor. We could beg at the feet of NordVPN, and they would just have to flick their toe to kick us to our graves.
No, first they would kick us to ExpressVPN.
And
then they would kick us to our graves.